All right, let's dive into a topic that, on the surface, sounds kind of industrial, but is really all about finding hidden profit in your shop. Fiber laser rust removal. I mean, what if I told you that just by changing how you clean metal, you could see one of the fastest returns on investment you've ever had? It sounds a little crazy, I know, but let's get into it.
So we're kicking things off with this quote from Dawn Huang over at Chihalo Laser. And here's why. She felt the exact same way you might be feeling right now. She's been in the surface prep world for 15 years, saw these machines with these sky-high price tags and thought, no way, this is all hype. She was a skeptic, and that's what makes her perspective so valuable. She only came around when she saw what these things could actually do.
You know, Dawn's skepticism is really the perfect way to get into this, because it points directly to the problem that every shop owner deals with. The old way of removing rust, it's a mess, it takes forever, and as you're about to see, it costs way more than you probably realize. And that brings us to the big question, right? What is all that manual grinding and sanding really costing you? And I'm not just talking about the price of a new wire wheel or a few sanding discs. No, I'm talking about the biggest expense in any shop, your labor. All those hours spent grinding, cleaning, what's the actual dollar amount? Well, here it is, $26,000. If you have just one person spending half their week, just 20 hours, grinding away at rust, at about $25 an hour, you are spending $26,000 a year. And that's before you even think about consumables, cleanup time, or the parts you might damage by accident. That number is just a constant drain, year after year. So, okay, if the old way is just a constant money pit, what's the alternative? Well, this is where the laser changes the game completely, and it's a totally different way of thinking. We're not scraping or grinding anymore. We're not abrading. We're doing something much cooler. We're vaporizing. The science behind this is actually pretty brilliant. The laser shoots out a very specific kind of light. Now, things like rust, paint, and grease, they just soak it up, and poof, they instantly flash into a fine dust. But the clean metal underneath, it's reflective, so it just bounces most of that energy right off. It's smart enough to take off the bad stuff and leave the good stuff completely alone.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. Think of the laser as a high-tech scalpel for your surfaces. It'll take off rust, paint, oil, weld discoloration, you name it. But, and this is important, it's not a magic wand. It can't fix metal that's already gone. It's not going to fill in deep pits or fix heavy corrosion. It's a cleaning tool, not a repair tool. So it's important to know what it can and can't do.
All right, so you get it. The potential is huge. But this next part, this is where people get tripped up, and it's probably the biggest business decision you'll make when you're looking at these machines. Are you going to go with a continuous wave laser or a pulse laser?
Let's just break this down real simple. Continuous wave, or CW, think of that as your workhorse. It's a steady, constant beam of light. It's way faster, and it's a lot cheaper. The trade-off, it does put more heat into the part. Now, pulse lasers are different. They fire in these tiny, super fast bursts. This means way less heat, but they're slower, and man, they cost a ton more, like 40 to 60% more.
So what's the bottom line? Well, for pretty much everybody, we're talking 90% of rust removal jobs out there. The choice is obvious. The continuous wave laser is the smarter, more cost-effective machine. You see, unless you're working on super thin, delicate stuff all day long, like for aerospace or something, a pulse laser is just a huge expense for a feature you're probably never going to need.
Okay, we've talked about the tech. Now let's get to the section I know you've been waiting for. Let's talk about the money. This is where we look at the real-world costs and figure out just how fast this investment pays for itself.
First things first, let's be totally upfront about what it costs to get in the door. For a solid 1,500-watt CW system, which is a great size for most shops, you're not just paying the machine's price tag. You've got shipping, you've got to have fume extraction for safety, and maybe a little for setup. So all in, you're looking at somewhere between, say, $10,000 and $17,000 to be up and running.
And now, this is the slide that just changes the entire conversation. See that huge bar on the left? That's the $26,000 you're spending every single year on manual labor. That middle bar, that's the one-time cost to buy the laser. And that tiny little bar on the right, that's what it costs to run the laser for a whole year. I mean, look at that. You can pay for the entire machine in less than 6 months with what you were spending on labor. It's incredible.
And hey, this isn't just theory, this is real life. There's this great example of an auto restoration shop. They were spending $3,500 a month on media blasting and labor. So they bought a $12,000 laser, and their costs just plummeted. The entire machine was paid for in 4 months.
4 months.
Okay, so the numbers are a no-brainer. The ROI is undeniable, but how do you actually go out and buy one of these things without making a huge, expensive mistake? This next part is your guide to buying smart, so you don't get that awful feeling of buyer's remorse.
The number one most important thing you need to know about TikToking is the laser source. It's the engine. It's the heart of the whole machine. You have to stick with proven brands. You're going to see names like Rakis or Max, which are a great value. JPT is a big name for pulse lasers. And then you have IPG, which is kind of the top of the line premium option. Just knowing these names is your best defense against buying junk.
So let's just boil it all down into 3 simple steps. First, be totally honest with yourself about your workload. Are you really going to use this thing enough? Second, ask the seller straight up, what brand is the laser source? If they get squirrely or they don't know, just walk away. And third, if you see some ad for a brand new 2,000-watt laser for $4 grand, it's not a deal, it's a trap. A good laser source by itself costs more than that.
And this might be the most crucial piece of advice I can give you. Avoid those mystery machines from sellers who are just trying to move boxes. Because here's the thing, all machines need support eventually, and the last thing you want is for your only tech support to be an international shipping label and a hope and a prayer.
So we'll wrap up on this last thought. Right now, your angle grinders, your wire wheels, they have a 0% return on investment. They are a pure cost every single year. And here we have a piece of tech with a proven, ridiculously fast payback, often just a few months. So the question you really need to ask yourself is, what could you do for your business with all that money you'd be saving?